Can you enjoy a cruise without spending an extra dollar? Well, on this ship, you can. Let's look at all the free food, all the free shows, and all the free fun on Royal Caribbean's Symphony of the Seas. Royal Caribbean's Symphony of the Seas is currently in March 2024, the third largest cruise ship in the world, coming in at 228,000 tons with a maximum capacity of 6,680 passengers plus 2,200 crew members. At a cost of $1.35 billion, they did not cheap out on the food nor the fun. On this trip, I wanted to find out if there were enough dining and entertainment options to fill out our 8-day cruise without having to splurge on anything extra. I focused on attending as many of the free shows and activities as possible, and spoiler alert, you can't do it all, so take notes. And of course, indulging in all the complimentary food options. Stay tuned, as at the end of this video, I'll tell you the one thing we did splurge on that I highly recommend. If you're finding this topic interesting, please give this video a like, and if you've been on a cruise recently, please write up your favorite onboard activities in the comments below. I look forward to reading them. Okay, let's go. Part 1. All the free shows. Royal Caribbean provides world-class entertainment through a blend of full-scale Broadway musicals and original productions. On a one-week cruise on Symphony, you can see a different show every night. On Oasis-class ships such as Symphony, you not only have presentations in the Royal Theatre, but you also have an ice skating rink, a comedy club, and the outdoor aqua theater. So what did we see? The main Broadway production on Symphony was Hairspray, which blew my mind in terms of stage sets, costumes, and talent of the performers. If you only see one show on this ship, and why limit it to one as they're all free, this one would be it. Another show that's presented in the Royal Theatre is Flight Dare to Dream. This is another musical production with an original take on the history of flight in reverse. Again, the special effects and voices of the performers were impressive, and I was so impressed to learn that these were the same performers as in the Hairspray show. It takes some hard work and unique talent to rehearse and put on two shows of this caliber week after week. Now we come to the Aqua show titled Hero, which everyone on board was so looking forward to. The Aqua Theater is located at the very back of the ship, so it is weather dependent, and for this reason, I recommend booking this one early in your sailing just in case it needs to be postponed. The stage is flanked by two 30-foot diving platforms. The show features some of the world's best extreme sports athletes and high-energy choreography and music. Best part was that on another night, I was able to see it again from my cabin balcony. Now, I'm not usually a fan of ice skating shows, but I did have such a great time seeing this one titled 1977. Triple axels on a relatively small ice skating rink? Yep, they did those. And again, original music and costumes were exceptional. Another very fun time we had was attending the stand-up comedy show. The two comedians were very entertaining and they interacted a lot with the audience. I highly recommend that you make reservations for these main shows in advance in the Royal Caribbean app. In addition to these main productions, they have many recurring theme shows and events which include audience participation, such as the Captain's Corner, where we got to ask questions to the captain, and one of our very favorites, the Love and Marriage Show, where newlywed couples compete against older couples in a marriage quiz. And that's not all. If you're someone who enjoys meeting people, participating in games and contests, the amount of organized and included activities on this ship for children, teens, and adults is quite impressive. You've got rock climbing walls, water slides, a zip line. mini golf, the famous flow rider. Well, it would take me too long to list them all, so I'll just say that two of our favorites were the Shush Silent Disco and the Crazy Quest, this one being a late night adult competition with some very interesting challenges. Baby, where are we?
We're on the Rising Tide Bar.
We're on the Rising Tide Bar, and it's a bar that goes up and down within the ship between decks 5 and deck 8. So it starts, well, right now we're on deck 8 in Central Park, and we're heading downwards towards the World Promenade where there is a Caribbean festival tonight. And if you see behind me, it's going down, but you can't really see it right now. Okay, now we get to the good part, all the free food. Now, of course, as with all cruise ships, you have the buffet called the Windjammer, where they serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Hi, everyone. So the first free thing on board is, of course, the buffet. And many people choose to head here right after boarding, especially if you have a lunchtime boarding time. And what's great about the Windjammer is that it does have some tables right by the windows. And we found a spot here right by the sports court. So what you need to do is before you enter the buffet, you need to wash your hands. They will remind you of that. And let me show you a little bit of what they have on offer. On Symphony of the Seas, I highly recommend you do two things when going to the Windjammer. First, find a table and set down a few items to reserve it, such as your hoodie or a bag, because this place is busy, especially during boarding day and at breakfast time. Second, I recommend you walk around to all the different food stations before selecting your food options, and make sure to go all the way around to both sides until you've seen all the options. They have both self-serve and made-to-order stations. Some of the standard stations include the fast food counter and the Indian food section, and for all the other stations, they do follow a different theme every day, such as Taste of Spain, Italian, French, and you can find these daily themes in the app. We found the food quality here to be very fresh, and it's a great option for families with kids given the variety of foods available. Another classic cruise ship dining venue is the main dining room. On Symphony of the Seas, it's divided into 3 floors on decks 3, 4, and 5. Many cruisers eat in the MDR for dinner as it's a more classic experience with a 3-course meal. On Royal Caribbean, you have the option to choose among 3 dining times: early dining at 5:30 p.m., late dining at 8 p.m., or my time dining. Now, Royal Caribbean has recently announced that they might be adding a 3rd fixed dining time option, which would be between the early and the late times. Let's see if that works out. They're currently testing it out on some of their ships. Dinner in the main dining room follows a different theme every night, so you may want to consult the full menus on the app in advance. Important to know that there is one formal night, so plan a nice outfit for that. In terms of food options, you always have a selection of appetizers, main entrees, and desserts. On Royal Night, which is lobster night, they allow 1 complimentary lobster tail per person, and there's an extra charge if you request additional lobster tails. We found the main dining room food on Symphony of the Seas to be very good. Royal Caribbean launched a new menu in early 2023, and we found it to be much better than our previous sailings. One important note is that you need to factor in a solid 90 minutes for this meal in the main dining room. I would tell every cruiser to pack a little patience, as they are feeding over 6,000 people multiple times a day. If you're pressed for time or just simply want a more casual dinner, you can always head to the buffet instead. Now, if you're staying in a suite, you have an additional dining room called Coastal Kitchen, offering breakfast, lunch, and dinner with a selection of Mediterranean and Californian-inspired dishes. What other food venues are included at no extra cost on board? Well, for breakfast, you have 7 options to choose from. In addition to the buffet and main dining room, you can order room service, with the continental breakfast option being complimentary. I find this to be a good option if you have an excursion booked early in the morning, or even just to order your first morning coffee. Johnny Rockets also offers complimentary breakfast on board Oasis class ships. They have some delicious hot breakfast options, including pancakes, French toast, breakfast sandwiches, and omelets. It's also a fun location to be seated outdoors directly on the boardwalk.
Number 1.
You can also grab something quick at Park Cafe, located in Central Park, which also has some nice outdoor seating and is more of a quiet area. If you're in the mood for Mexican, on C days, you can also pick up a breakfast burrito or a quesadilla at El Loco Fresh. More on this place later. Our personal favorite breakfast place on Symphony of the Seas was the Solarium Bistro. This is another buffet option located right by the adults-only solarium area. Though it has less of a selection than the main buffet, I found the quality of the food items to be a little more elevated. It's not as crowded as the main buffet. There are less children, though children are allowed to eat here, and the location is great as it's towards the front and top of the ship. The Solarium Bistro also serves up lunch on sea days, and they are open every evening for dinner with an emphasis on Mediterranean flavors. On our sailing, reservations were required for dinner and it was often fully booked. Okay, so what else is for lunch? You can pick up a grab-and-go lunch at Park Cafe, which offers salads, freshly pressed sandwiches, and their famous Cammelweck roast beef sandwich. My personal favorite lunch option on Symphony is the El Loco Fresh, which is a Mexican fast casual food counter located near the pool deck. Out of our 4 sea days, we ate here 3 times. It's just that good. There is a reason it's so crowded all the time, so though it's open from noon to 6 p.m., I recommend going during more of the off-peak times between 2 and 4. Some of the delicious options include savory tacos, burritos, nachos, desserts such as dulce de leche and Mexican flan. They also have small salads and fruit cups that you can just grab and go. Now you're on vacation, right? So you may want to also indulge in a snack here and there. Well, Symphony's got you covered for snacks as well. On the Royal Promenade, you have Cafe Promenade, open 24 hours, where you can pick up a coffee or tea with some cookies, pastries, and mini sandwiches. You have, as previously mentioned, Park Cafe in Central Park. You can pick up a complimentary soft serve ice cream at Sprinkles, located near the pool deck. You also have a hot dog stand on the boardwalk called the Boardwalk Doghouse, where you can choose from a selection of breads, hot dogs, and sausages. And I saved the best for last, free pizza at everyone's favorite pizza joint, Sorrento's. On our sailing, Sorrento's was open from 11 a.m. to 3 a.m., making it a great stop for a late night snack. So there you have it. I think you'll agree that you'll never get either bored or hungry on Royal Caribbean. And keep in mind that in addition to all this included food, you do have several specialty dining restaurants to choose from as an additional special treat. Now, as promised, what was our one food splurge on this cruise? We decided to try the Taste of Royal lunch, which took place on the last day of our cruise. Taste of Royal is a 4-course specialty lunch, with each course coming from a different specialty restaurant on board, and it also includes a cocktail. The lunch was hosted in the ritzy 150 Central Park restaurant by the head chef. We began with a St. Peter's Spritz, which is the signature cocktail of Hooked Seafood Restaurant on board, followed by what I'll call the most amazing bread in the world. As an amuse-bouche, we were served a scallop in butternut squash puree, and then the official 4-course menu kicked in, with the first course being the Citrus Seas Tuna Tartare from Wonderland Restaurant. Second course was a mascarpone cheese risotto with crab meat. Third course was a delicious filet mignon and spicy jumbo shrimp, courtesy of Chops Grill, which is Royal Caribbean's signature steakhouse. And we ended with a fried cheesecake ball with side garnishes of Nutella, whipped cream, and caramelized popcorn. It was fabulous and an amazing value at under $40 per person. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you learned something new, please share it to your socials so that your friends and family can see it as well. To make sure you never miss out on new videos, please subscribe to the channel right now. Now, whether you're new to cruising or just want to learn a few hacks in planning your next cruise, please check out my video, Top 10 Tips in Booking a Cruise, by clicking up here to make sure you're always ready to go.